I definitely didn't got it.
Their story didn't end there.
How could there have been only one? And he's back in business.
Is the worst idea in history of bad ideas.
Part 2 is the final chapter in the violent history.
This time, it's personal.
But their story didn't end
Oh my
there.
gosh. Yeah, I definitely don't.
How could there have been only
In a
one?
galaxy far, far
And
away.
he's back in business.
How do I turn it off?
Is the worst idea
It's on a
in
loop.
history of bad ideas.
That was crazy. All three of them, like, were coming out.
Violent
Hold on.
history.
This time, it's personal.
Carol Danvers, prodigal child of the Milky Way.
Nick Fury, my favorite one-eyed man of intrigue.
How goes it out there?
Cold, no air, space.
Captain Marvel, the Annihilator. You took everything from me. And now I'm returning the favor.
What is happening to me?
She's entangled our light-based powers, so we switch places whenever we use them.
Strong theory.
You can absorb light. I can see it. And Kamala,
Who's Kamala? Hi.
she can turn light into physical matter, which I have never heard of.
I could totally show you. She's targeting every planet we call home. I would never choose to bring anybody into this.
You are not the only thing standing between this and the universe.
Oh my god, we're a team.
Higher.
Further. Faster.
Who's a good kitty goose?
I can't. Can you?
I got it.
If you like space, cats, Marvel, and if you like quantum bands, Saber, Skrull refugee colonies, Aldana sings speech, baby Flerkens, reigniting Hala's son, and if you like Monica Rambeau, Kamala Khan, and Carol Danvers, you'll like the sequel we're talking about this week, The Marvels. And we are in our own quantum entanglement because this is a crossover episode. I don't know if it's a hybrid episode.
Hey, they could tell because of how many intros played at the beginning.
Yeah,
It was all 5 intros, and you're like, is this an episode of WandaVision? Or is this the crossover that you've been waiting for?
This is an episode. Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast, and also at the same time, Revenge of the Sequel podcast, just about sequels. Honestly, not much change. Same hosts, different logos, but maybe a little bit more confusing.
Too lazy to split up the actual app.
Look, we had to record 2 eps this week. This fit both buckets. It doesn't happen that often, although it could because every Marvel film is a sequel. But we're talking about The Marvels, the 2023 release just a couple weeks ago, or really just last week this movie came out. And this is a big spoiler-filled episode. So we had a spoiler-free one earlier this week. We talked Loki this week on our Marvel pod, and we definitely talked a bunch of horror films in the last couple weeks on the Revenge of the Sequel. But there will be a lot of spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the movie, which apparently a lot of you haven't, go out and watch it. Or I guess, you could wait for Disney Plus. I don't know why I'm saying that. Go watch it in movie theaters, watch it on IMAX because it's really fun. And there's some amazing sequences in it. So big spoilers in this. My name is Manuel.
Hey, it's Andrew.
What's up? It's John.
Back on Countdown to Infinity. Wow. The crew is back.
Where we have some quantum entanglement. We were brought to this. We're brought to this.
Jada Pinkett.
I was gonna make a Jada Pinkett. I was gonna say
but on a cosmic level, though. There we go.
Cosmic Jada Pinkett Smith entangling the world.
Yeah. With her light powers.
We've been separated from Will Smith for 8 years.
I know. I wish Will Smith
hadn't slapped Chris Rock so that it didn't have to come out.
That's one thing, but I wish Will Smith's Wikipedia just didn't continue to grow in terms of new chapters to his career that were
every
for his life. Anyways, this is also an episode of our Will Smith pod. The slap.
The first Vivian was right.
Now we're talking the Marvels. So this episode we'll talk about our what we thought of the movie. We'll definitely talk about the after credit scene. We'll talk about kind of the way the MCU is now, and maybe some of what we expect in the newest chapter. There's always stuff to talk about with the MCU. You know, a lot of fans of the series will know announcements come a dime a dozen over there. We get announcements left
all the
right.
time. Yeah, exactly.
We get after credit scenes.
We got one yesterday. Boom. What if season 2?
We got some course correction stuff.
We got some fantastic forecasting
Madam
stuff.
Web.
Madam Web. Yeah, you're right.
Kraven the Hunter. We legit talked Kraven and the Hunter before we started recording, and that's kind of like our number one movie we're looking forward to in the next decade.
Yeah, we need some motivation. We want to.
He killed it in Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah, pretty fun. So there's always Marvel stuff. But you're here for Marvels, the film that brings
the namesake.
back, the namesake to the MCU. It brings back Brie Larson as Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, as she faces I would say a new threat that she might have caused in Zawe Ashton as a new old threat as Dar Ben. Carol Danvers is in her Superman, Mr. Manhattan mode of, oh wow, I can destroy planets. But something that brings her into kind of the problems of Earth is the fact that Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau and Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, both introduced in the Disney Plus series, are because of their spectral powers entangling themselves and switching places, which brings them to Nick Fury and Saber. That sounds weird now to me because I just watched The Office and there's a huge thing about Sabre and Saber.
Yeah. So I'm also confused because I think Saber is in the movie, but also Sword is too. Because Monica Rambeau is from Sword, not Saber.
They're two different types of sharp objects.
They're two different types of weapons.
We've already did the Shield. It's time for some pointy stuff.
I work at the Shaft. There's a lot that happens in the movie. We'll break it all down for you. That's just like a brief recap of the inciting incident because they definitely visit some planets. One of them gets lost in another dimension. There's some Flergen action with little kittens and a lot of fun things with the Vellani family that at this point maybe needs homeowners insurance to come through for them because their house is busted after everyone gets their way in there. But John, you watched this movie yesterday. What did you think of the Marvels?
Surprisingly, I don't know why I say surprisingly. I think I knew I was going to have some fun going into it, but it wasn't as bad as it wasn't bad at all. I thought it was a fun movie. I guess in the rumblings, because I didn't see it right away, the way you guys did, some outside, influence was starting to creep in. Maybe it is as bad as people aren't saying that it's bad, but people are kind of focusing, on the negative here. They're kind of focusing on it's under a microscope. If a Marvel movie doesn't do $1 billion, then it's automatically a failure. People are kind of writing it off in that way. So that was kind of was getting me a little scared, because not hearing a whole lot of buzz about it. At least on the positive side, when it comes to the movie itself, which is unfortunate because it seems like fandoms kind of like to do that nowadays, and I think it's just the norm. But the movie itself is pretty fun. It's kind of quick and a little jarring, which apparently is the intention according to director Nia DaCosta. But I had a lot of, it was it's a fun, quick, movie. It's very funny. There are some stuff that I feel like we're just supposed to accept because there's not a whole lot of explanation when it comes to things. Like someone spouts out the dialogue or like an exposition at you, and you're kind of supposed to just take it and move on to the next scene because it's too much. You can't really like linger with it a whole lot. So but I do like the dynamic that the three leads have. I think some of the Nick Fury stuff is actually really funny and works. Regardless of how like connected this is to like fucking Secret Invasion. Yeah. Regardless, or the lack of connection. I thought it was a really fun flick. I mean, I think Drew's going to explain a little bit more of what he means on this, but like when Drew kind of explained his take on it, I kind of agree on it. Like it's a very episode of the week type of adventure, which isn't like, it's not a bad thing, because at this point with Marvel, we are there. So like, it's not like you can, not to be in a bad way. I mean, because the movie's fun and it stands on its own. Like, I don't think you really need to, I mean, I guess you probably do really kind of need to know what Miss Marvel is, I guess, before you jump in. But like, I didn't feel like you really needed to jump in or like you needed backstory. I guess it's just, I guess that I think that's a personal thing. Like the viewer would feel frustrated or not. Like that's on you if you come into this without any backstory or not. But
look, if you can handle Lord of the Rings and the million different families and lands and names and languages, the Marvels will be a breeze.
Right, yeah, and I thought they kind of covered the reintroduction of the heroes kind of well in the beginning. Like you don't really need a whole lot, I think, like I said, it's usually if you want to gripe that you need to watch a show to watch the movie, you don't really need to watch the show. You're just kind of griping, I guess, to gripe. That's my opinion, because you don't really need to watch it to enjoy it. But
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's on the viewer. But the movie is fun. I guess when we pick it apart in detail here in a second, we'll talk specifics. But overall, like it was I thought it was great. Like it was, I loved Larson's performance. She was, I like that she had some stuff to play off with, like a cast. She had some stuff like to play off with in the first one, but it wasn't really like. It was, to me, it came across as kind of weird and a little bit like she didn't really know what direction to take this time around. Larson was kind of more playful. Like she kind of like she just kind of like got along with the cast a lot better and stuff like that. So it's
a legit team that has chemistry. Because the first one, it was like Nick Fury, but he's kind of a foil a little bit,
right? And she's kind of going through this amnesia. Yeah, she's going through this amnesia phase in the first one, which kind of is like she don't really know. We don't know who she is, and she doesn't know who she is. So like this time around, it was refreshing to kind of see like more of Larson herself in the character. That's what I saw more of, So and she's a great great person. So yeah, fun flick. And then the after credit scene was pretty cool. I liked it. So like I'm excited to see more. I'm sad that people are kind of throwing this under the bus when they're not really giving it a chance yet. So it's a good movie.
I think this movie is going to be the top movie on Disney Plus whenever it does come out, which is odd to say because it should be watched in theaters, but I think a lot of people will end up watching the Marvel.
We are spoiled, because of the streaming shit, like some
the intranet. Yeah, Drew, what did you think of the Marvels?
I liked it. I thought it was like the way John said. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think that it did feel in a way a little bit more like the comic book, where it felt like a serialized one-off adventure that these characters exist in this world. They crossed over, and Captain Marvel needs to give Miss Marvel and Photon the rub, so that way they get the mainstream appeal, and that way they can keep going, and maybe they can be part of the new Avengers or whatever. But I did really appreciate a lot of elements of this movie. I think it's a shame that it's getting the classic review bomb because people are scared of women, I guess. It's filled with really, really strong performances, and I love that it's the girl power thing where even the cameos like Kate Bishop and Valkyrie are just strong ass women, just like the way the villain is, just like the way the director is. And I don't know. I think it's one of those things that it's getting flack for that reason when people aren't really giving it a chance, and people will look forward to
cameo by Kelsey Grammer, a renowned ally.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Frasier. It's one of those things where people want to see Wolverine and Deadpool fight all day, but they won't make a sequel to that if this one doesn't make money because it's all the same family. So it's kind of backwards thinking, I think, in a way, when people are like, I'll just watch the after credits scene on a leaked YouTube clip rather than wanting to pay for something, and then they get mad when they're like Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman aren't going to be in the same movie as Spider-Man and Wolverine anymore because it wasn't making money and we need to make a course correction and we need to sell off the rights or whatever. And that's when they'll notice that they fucked up or whatever. But it's just a shame that people have that type of mentality because I think that, again, there's a lot of good things happening in this movie. The Flergen scene was so hilarious. I love the Flergen scene where they're eating the whole Saber station up.
Funny. Yeah.
Too funny. I love the musical planet because this is what we need now is those type of out of just thinking outside the box. They utilizes a Korean drama actor from Korea, which I think is awesome because he's like
Park Seo-joon.
He's like Brie Larson said that he's the most famous person she's ever worked with, which is possibly quite possibly true. But not only is he there in a really, really cool cameo, but Brie Larson was a Canadian pop star back in the day, so they get her to sing and kind of you saw that a little bit in like Scott Pilgrim and stuff like that. But and then it kind of felt like a Bollywood sequence where it's like, oh man, like you could tell that it's there for the right reasons, and certain people kind of hate on that just because it's different. But I think that's what you need in this stage of the MCU, where it's pretty much a self-contained one-off adventure that. They do explain to you what happens before. I feel like every time a character pops up, they're like, hey, do you remember? This is what happened and this is where they're at. I think that's why Iman fits inside her role so well because she's already a nerd about that kind of stuff too. When Brie Larson wanted to know, like, I don't know where my character's at in this thing. And Iman was like, oh, she's this age. She's just gone through this. And, especially when you film it out of sequence and stuff like that. But, I think that's why she's kind of like the bright and shining point of this role because she is who she's playing, which is a big old nerd of all this superhero stuff and of the MCU and things like that. And again, something like Miss Marvel, the TV show was discounted or was kind of written off because people are like, oh, it's a kid's show. When the people who haven't seen the show are the ones saying that, and they haven't seen the show because like in the middle it gets real serious real quick, and I was like, ooh, this isn't a kid's show when we're covering what their people kind of went through, in that flashback episode. So it's that kind of crowd, I think, that tries to go against something like this when they don't have enough info to be talking about it in the first place. But I really liked this movie. I thought it was really, really cool because this is the direction I think we should take with the MCU now that people have such big expectations because of the connections of the Infinity Saga, and so I think you need to kind of deprogram people into expecting that type with more movies like this, where it's just a good. Fun time. And John said, like, oh man, before we started recording, John said it wasn't as memorable as he thought it was because it's kind of like in one year and out the other. But by the time it's out the other, you're going to get another Marvel thing that kind of connects point to it sometimes and reminds you of it. And it doesn't need to be something that like Martin Scorsese level, but just an overall good product. And I think that's what this is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's pretty okay for what it is, which is a space adventure that attempts at some very, I think, new themes in the MCU. I mean, I joke about Dr. Manhattan, and apparently there was a lot. This movie was supposed to be much longer, and then they tried to do a course correct after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania to hone in on the things that tested really well, which was Miss Marvel. Flergen stuff, some of the Nick Fury stuff, which I agree works really great in the movie. But it did feel like there were some very interesting topics that were left off or left out. I mean, the whole thing with Monica Rambeau feeling left behind by Carol Danvers, and Carol Danvers thinking, oh my gosh, I just ended a whole planet, so I need to be very careful of what I do. Like, that's some really wild existential, makes me feel like a Snyder movie type of stuff. That I would have liked to seen more of, but I understand that it is a very different type of movie if they were attempting to look too much into that stuff. But it's a really great romp through space, and also a little bit of, the thing that really did, I guess I'll ask you this, because we did a whole pod where I kind of gave some brief things, so I guess we can just talk generally now. What did y'all think about the whole quantum entanglement thing? Yeah. It doesn't have to all just be the fight sequence, but just as like a narrative driver, or at least some way to cinematically introduce our characters in these, different moments, and all having to meet up at the same place. Did you enjoy it? It's something that they don't really do in the MCU, apart from maybe some parts of Loki or something, where they're kind of, taking each other's spots, and, in such different places too.
And I think it's a very clever way to disguise that all three actresses weren't available at the same time. We're like, damn, like, okay, we can only shoot with one per whatever, so everyone else is available, but they can't, whatever.
Yeah.
But I also, again, it feels very episodic. What else does this Star Trek into, or Beyond, the third one, where literally Captain, I was gonna say Captain Spock, Jesus Christ, Captain Kirk says it at the beginning. He's like, man, it's starting to feel episodic. And so that's a movie that I like, because most people will say episodic as like a negative term almost sometimes, when again, that's what all comic books are. So that's what this felt like, where it's like, oh man, it's going to be a 3 or to 6 issue run where, Captain America and Tony Stark and Thor just keep switching places. I was like, man, that's something totally that would pop up, and it's a good idea, and it especially in the fight sequences here, where they kind of learn to hone it and practice it and stuff like that.
One of the most fun parts is not just the fight sequence, but they had that whole montage where, and I'm like, even just on like a filmmaking level, I'm like, that's cool that they are, jump roping and, cooking. And I'm just like trying to logistically figure out how they cut that together. It's exciting to see.
Yeah, exactly. On a technical aspect too. So it's a really, really fun concept. And they do something in this movie which I think is very smart. It's kind of what they do with Hulk at the beginning of Infinity War, which is you depower your OP characters, so that way there's a fucking movie. Because if not, then Carol Danvers is going to come in and stomp Thanos in the first 5 minutes, and then that's it, Yeah. And so in this one, that one of the half of the bangles on Dar-Benn, which is the one that Miss Marvel has also, absorbs Captain Marvel's power, so she's kind of rendered useless. Stronger. So she needs to lean in to this other switch up power even more to kind of stand a chance against her, which is really, really
it's like tag team Super Smash Bros type of thing going on, which is cool.
And it's a really cool way to get these characters to interact with the other supporting casts, where it's like Iman and Nick Fury's fight scene on Saber is fucking awesome.
Yeah. John, did it work for you?
I think it did. It totally did. I wish there was more of it, if that makes any sense, because they kind of like, it was kind of relegated just to fight scenes. I actually don't know on how it would be, executed in any other type of way, I guess, because I guess it makes it, I guess it just makes it visually exciting for the fight scenes. But I did kind of dig that. And, I think you compared it to like a tag video game, or like a fighting game where you tag in another player and they just jump in. That might have been the actual intention. Nia DaCosta, is our age, and she grew up around a lot of like a lot of the same influences in video games, and and a lot of nerdy stuff. But when when we were growing up, so it's like the same. She got the same influences. I think she actually mentioned that she had modeled a sequence off of a movie called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
Oh shit! Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and so like
and
that's
you can totally tell where it's like she's Sephiroth and there's like 3 or 4 characters. It's like a party of
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
where it's like, okay, here's your 3 lineup. They're going up against this big boss,
Yeah.
and everyone's gonna take their turn fighting her. You know.
so that's like really cool. So yeah, like I guess that the entanglement thing, that those sequences are really exciting. Those early ones were the ones that were the strongest one, especially when they're switching locations between Kree ship, Miss Marvel's house, and then like the Saber ship. I think like
Goose
that's like
is
really
involved. Yeah, it's
Goose
just
is involved
all.
yeah.
When
messy.
it's crazy because they show you 3 different fight scenes at the same time,
Yeah,
essentially, because they're happening at different spots. But I think it's a really, really fun concept. Obviously, it's like, you know, you can't reuse it again later. But it was really, really cool for this little one-off adventure.
Yeah. I guess go for it.
Well, I was gonna say it kind of works too, because if you know, in the beginning of the movie, Captain Marvel, it's happening to Captain Marvel. She's obviously powerful as hell, and she literally just flies from Earth to where she needs to go again because she's so powerful and fast. And it's cool because the progression of it is, you know, where she's like, I'll take care of this myself. I don't know what's happening. I'll figure it out, to them learning to work together. And it kind of follows along the Carol Danvers thing, because at this moment she tries to be by herself because she doesn't want to hurt anyone else or be seen as a villain. And then at the end of the movie, they are in tandem. The classic, we're a team now, we're working together, and it's better because of it. Kind of like us, you know, we each pod separately. Nobody listens.
Nobody listens. Yeah,
But
but when we
all
pod
pod
together, yeah, it's like it's
a little bit more. Just a couple more people listen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, like the quantum entanglement scenes are really fun. I forgot where I was going with this. I was gonna go somewhere else, and then I forgot. Like I was listening to what you were saying, Duff, and then I had like a point, and then I forgot what the fuck it was. But
that does happen to me more often, even on air. You just listen back to a couple of episodes.
we lose our train of thought. It's totally okay, and it's fine.
The thought train.
I want to shout out Darban. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are kind of.
I was going to actually bring that up. I'm not even joking, John. I was like, let's talk about
Mrs. Loki herself.
So
yeah,
everyone is kind of like everyone's kind of running her, kind of like writing her off, sort of in a way like the way they wrote off like Ronan the Accuser, which oddly enough was another
just classic Kree hate.
Yeah, exactly. Just nothing but Kree. No love for the Kree in general.
Who's saying all this shit? Skrulls?
We can't trust scrolls.
Captain Marvel apparently was on the message boards herself before she destroyed the Supreme Intelligence.
Yeah.
Darban was great. I thought she was awesome. Like, you know, I like the fact that she was this really, like, it's like the Kree storyline. I didn't expect that. Like the existential like Kree stuff, like where like their planet is destroyed because Captain Marvel went on a rampage.
And we're also meant to assume
like,
here that for
wild.
years and years and years during the Avengers stuff, that Captain Marvel's just over there destroying
fucking shit up. Yeah, exactly.
That's why Thanos wasn't on her radar, because she was destroying the
could
sun.
you imagine like your planet like being fucked up, and then you're like, man, we should do something, and then half the people just kind of disappear on your planet, and you're like, damn,
it really sucks now.
Yeah, I know. But Darban being like a person who's just trying to kind of like it shows. I mean, she's still very villainous because she has that classic like we try to give her redemption. At the very end, and she just turns completely bad.
Fucking Isildur from Lord of the Rings, am I right? Destroy it.
But I thought,
like, I gotta open up the X-Men hole.
I thought she was pretty cool, and then like the way she handled the universal weapon, which finally gets a name drop in this. You know, that was pretty cool. Like I thought Darban was a great villain. You said she's Mrs. Loki. She's Loki's like
she's Tom Hiddleston's partner.
Oh, they have kids.
Wow.
Yeah, big weekend for the family. Am I right? Loki finale, and you got the Marvels.
You got it on the same day too, which is they should be proud. I'm pretty sure that's a first in like the MCU.
Marvel should just like maybe cast their kid in something for just to hedge their bet, you know, be like, we got to get the whole family on board. I'm just kidding. That sounds like predatory, bad, like
the Nepo baby
contract. Yeah. That's like early MCU Nepo baby.
Also, are there any, Kree on Saber, the ship? There was like a person with a yellow face. And I was like, that's not a scroll.
You brought up Kree. Okay. And the reason why, and we don't like to get too nerdy on here, but the Kree scroll stuff is, you know, was introduced in Captain Marvel. And then we got a lot of Skrull stuff in Secret Invasion. And I said this, I think, on the spoiler-free pod. I was like, if I'm Nick Fury, I'm like, this shit's fucked on Earth. I'm going back to space. And he's much happier in that thing. And, you know, timeline-wise, if you know, I had to look this up. All this stuff happens after Secret Invasion. So
well, where's his wife then? That means his wife.
I have no idea. I don't know who she is.
That means his wife should have got swallowed by one of these Flerkens, and she didn't.
The other thing is how crazy is it to be a Skrull right now? Because Captain Marvel again destroys another colony by accident. You know, obviously she was in the right there. But more Skrulls are now going to be on Earth with Valkyrie and the Asgardians when everybody hates Skrulls, you assume, because there's
already a million,
half the presidents, you know, or whatever on the planet. It sucks to be a Skrull. And I feel really, really bad for them. And I hope we don't see more Skrull trauma.
Well, in this movie,
they're worse off than even humans.
And I mean, it seems like every alien is not having a bad time because, like, it sucks to be a Skrull, but it also in this movie sucks worse to be a Kree.
Yeah,
apparently. So
it's
like,
bad.
It's bad for non-human folk out there.
Yeah. Well, the Skrull sequence is important too because there's a scene in the movie where their colony is destroyed. And it may seem a little random, but I understand kind of the emotional heft of it because you've got this bright-eyed Kamala Khan who thinks she can save everyone because she has not been a superhero that long, meeting a very, I would say, at this point, stoic Captain Marvel who's like, you can't save them all. I'm just going to try here, you know, to do as many as I can. But this stuff's going to be bad. And we'll talk about Volley specifically, but that moment, I think, was what that scene was for. And I mean, it's kind of more somber afterwards because it is, we got to, sorry we destroyed everyone on your planet. We got to find a place to put you. And it's like kind of one of the reasons why Captain Marvel is alone in space for such a long period of time before the movie. But yeah, it's kind of a crazy sequence overall, and for Iman, it's her learning, but it's also really fun because and I don't know if I guess we can talk kind of Kamala Khan. She sort of takes that Peter Parker place, and that's why it just works, you know. And I know we're gonna talk Young Avengers and stuff too because we've got some in this movie, but I'm kind of excited for this new version of superheroes, especially if they're as charismatic as Iman Vellani, and you know, it's nice to see kind of this new energy in the MCU, and it kind of does lift up a lot of the other characters around her too, I think.
Yeah, I think she's great. She's the heart of the flick. Yeah, like I wish those moments I was going back to the moments where you're like, she was learning that like you can't really save them all and stuff like that. This is a negative of the movie. The movie moves so fast that it doesn't linger on moments like that. Like we're kind of like given a heartfelt moment. I think there's two that I can think of in the movie that's kind of like, okay, because like we're supposed to feel something but because of the pace of the movie, we kind of move on very quickly afterwards. Like it's kind of like just kind of glossed over, I guess. It's that part and then the part towards the end, right before the third act, where Captain Marvel explains that she fucked up or something like that. There's that part where it's like, oh crap, but it's so quick, and it's like, well, we got to do this together then. Like it's kind of like bring on
the Flerkens.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like it's done so quickly that you kind of move on. And I think that's the movie could have. The movie could have, maybe benefited from like just kind of like drawing those moments out a little bit, but
it could have soaked in the bathwater,
right? Yeah, and I'm sure those are things that probably were a little bit longer in the original edit, and something like because you can tell this was kind of like, and it's been workshopped, with the audiences and stuff like that. But I wanted to kind of touch upon like if there is a negative of the movie, it's that it is too quick. Like it's both a strength, like the way Drew says, like it's nice, it's fun, it's upbeat, it's fast, but that also the fast part also does kind of like contribute to it being messy. Yeah, because it's just like it's also like you don't linger on a lot of stuff, and stuff that like should be kind of lingered upon, I guess. And
you can't have. I get why they cut it down because they're like, hey, did you watch the Eternals where we explain everything and we get into everything deep? I mean, and they're like, we didn't like it.
You can just watch the movie previous. Quantumania was like a sandwich that had like 10 meats and a million different things that you're like, oh shit, like we met these dune slugs or whatever, and then you're like, oh, but you're never gonna see them again. They're just hanging out.
They're just there.
And like, oh fuck, okay, cool.
So I get
Bill
it.
Murray, remember Bill Murray?
Oh yeah, he was.
There's a fucking revolution in there.
Ants, Kang the Conqueror. That movie's wild as hell.
But Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel, man, she's so funny in like every scene she's in. You can tell like the actress herself is like really like the charisma that she's just kind of like oozing.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Like I think my favorite scene that she's probably in is a very minor one, but it's like when they're on the planet. I was going to say Lorcana or something. the planet with the Aldana, where they're singing. They're dancing and they're walking through the streets. She's kind of just like jumping.
It's Aladna, not Aldana.
Aladdin or Aladna.
I can show you the word.
Yeah, she's just dancing while everybody else is kind of like just walking forward. She's like, "Why aren't y'all dancing?"
She's in.
It's the funniest part. Like,
doesn't it feel? Oh man, I don't want to besmirch anyone else, but doesn't it feel like classic old school Marvel finding the right actor type thing?
So
you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we got Chris Evans and it worked perfect. And here's and it worked perfect. Like it feels like that.
There are two actors that don't really have to act in the MCU. They just bring themselves to the role. And I think it's Robert Downey Jr. and Iman. Yeah. Everyone else has to do a performance and act where they're just themselves in the role, which is kind of wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I think, cool. And that's why I think it's exciting where it seems like the direction of the MCU is heading, because there isn't a shortage of kind of young, energetic, newer characters in the MCU that could,
too many boomers, baby.
Yeah. I say that, and then I'm like, but also every old ass X-Men actor is back.
Every old Avenger
than ever.
Might be back.
Yeah, also them. Yeah.
I will say maybe like the another downside of this is Miss Marvel's not wearing her mask, and I don't like that. I know that she has no need to, but like, what the hell?
And when also that's the MCU's problem where like let's not give Star-Lord a helmet. To have Robert Downey Jr. take off the helmet every now and again. Spider-Man, you don't wear the mask, and you're like,
you don't have Captain Marvel's even mask like we got that in a flashback. The Captain Marvel mask, the
and they use it to make her look evil too, where she's just got like fucking glowing eyes. She looked like Superman in Zack Snyder's movie.
She looks insane, like a monster. But I also feel like this is just a classic idea that I don't know if is 100% true. Maybe it is in live action because they do this in all of the animated Spider-Verse movies, but I think they're like, oh, we can't emote with a mask on. Rip that puppy off, Like, how do we know if you're sad if we can't see your face? Which, is possible.
It's an actor thing.
Hey,
I mean, I
watch
get it.
Batman. Watch the Batman.
Something in the yeah.
But
sure, let's do that.
That was, I guess, like it's a minor nerdy gripe, because like I guess you don't really need the mask for Captain or for Miss Marvel, I guess in this case,
because she's not an Earth
problem. I could totally tell that. What did you think about kind of the way? I mean, it's Captain Marvel; it's going to be in space, right? Like, why? Also, the Earth stories it's getting pretty full on Earth with the stuff that they got to worry about. So it makes sense that we're kind of in space. Although it does seem like at the end that she's moving back to Louisiana, right?
Yeah. I'm also wondering how crime still is a thing in the Marvel universe. It's kind of weird, when there's so many like super people running around.
Yeah,
they're all human and dealing with their own problems, and that's what these movies are about.
They must be humans must be so jaded. Half of the people left, and who even knows how complicated that is, coming back and after 5 years or whatever. But also, they know that aliens exist. They know that gods exist. There's a giant celestial sticking out of Greenland.
Yeah, it's like this.
They just must be like so over it, They're
I bet you they're just like, live every day to the fullest because the Chitauri can be back tomorrow, bitch.
Yeah. And guess what we're about to see? X-Men who are, I think, primarily based on Earth. Like they don't really.
True. Yeah,
I know you think you're
out
scared
in one
because
mansion.
there's a kill order on scrolls as soon as you see them. Shoot them on sight because
Shoot
of the
every
president.
scroll. Yeah,
And then you're gonna find out that half the humans aren't even humans.
Get rid of them. And some of them are there's Asgardians on Earth. It's getting pretty full. Hey, look, I don't want to sound nativist, but Earth should stay for Earth people. we gotta get these people out of here. Let's talk about a little bit of I guess first of all, we talked about Carol Danvers or Captain Marvel. We talked about Emmanuel. What do you think about Monica Rambeau, Tiana Paris? We saw her in WandaVision. Sort of it seems like a really important part to the future of Marvel because of where she ends up at the end of the movie, but also it's a little crazy to me that Carol Danvers is her aunt, and it makes me want to rewatch the Captain Marvel movie, and to be like, I remember how inspirational she was to her, and I can't imagine what it feels like for you to just leave. After being like, that's so awesome, and then be like, I'll be back, and then just never seeing them again. It seems like a lot of hurt.
Does it seem, and it could just be me, I mean, it's just, I've only seen the movie once, but I feel like I wanted more Photon, like more Monica Rambeau in the movie. I feel like out of the three, we focused a lot on, I don't know if we got a balance. I'll say that, I guess. I don't know if we got even, all... Yeah, I don't think it was an even amount of screen time with all of them. I feel like Monica Rambeau was in, at least that's how it stands now from what I'm remembering the movie. I feel like we got the least amount of her, but I did like what we did get. Like I like the crazy trauma. Basically, this movie's so weird because it's so the tones are very like jarring. Like the tones are
put on that trauma helmet where everyone relives those
Cerebro, or some shit like that, and it's fucking because like that part is like heartbreaking because like you find her backstory is like she blipped away while her mom had cancer, so like she didn't.
Crazy to think about.
It's a crazy thing to think about, and we don't linger on it because we don't want to be depressed the entire fucking movie, but like that is a very depressing. Like
I'm just remembering WandaVision too. Doesn't she talk down Wanda? With the shared like she is, man, that's
strong as fuck.
I know,
but like good.
Yeah.
And so like
I twice.
Yeah, and then I do like the way, I don't know, the way we end up with her kind of like her, and when she's closing the thing and Carol's racing towards her, that is pretty sad. Like I was like, damn, that's because you're basically watching, they think that she's going to die. I mean, she might as well be dead because she's not in the universe anymore. Yeah, it's a different universe.
But she's walked to a different universe before in WandaVision.
Yeah.
But I do wish that we had a little bit more. I just wish that, I guess maybe in what I'm actually trying to say is I wish the movie was longer so we could spend more time with all of them. I felt like we got a lot of Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, but we didn't get as much Photon as we needed to.
Audience didn't like the longer one.
And then Photon, whenever we did get Monica Rambeau on screen, she's mostly used as the expository character. Like she's the one saying like, oh, the quantum blah 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 this is what's happening, and then she will explain, and then the other characters are like, wait, what? Like,
which is odd because her and Carol Danvers have maybe the most like open conversation ever in the movie.
Yeah.
When you're on the thing and being, and obviously Kamala Khan helps them by just like, being kind of that emotional center and giving her a hug and being like, man, that sucks. I bet your mom is really good. Like saying the things that just need to be said. But I think that's maybe one of the biggest conflict in the movie is Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers, but it is very quickly resolved. And then it becomes like, how do we use your powers? And she seems like the smartest one, right? She's the smartest one of all of them.
Yeah, she's the smartest one of all three. And then it does
Rice. That's kind of a cool drop. Houston, shout out Houston, the Rice Owls, baby.
I mean, Carol must be like very emotionally strong because we realize at the end of the movie she lost both Rambos. Like she's fucked up in the head. Like Carol, like she has lost a lot. She
lost John Rambo too. Last one, they're now making another one.
But she hopefully doesn't lose Kamala Khan. I mean, I don't know.
I think you're gonna say Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Photon is a little bit underutilized here, but by the end of it, she's the most OP. She's like both of them combined, and she's gonna be the bridge to the fucking X-Men 97 universe, which is crazy because people are like, oh man, it's the Foxmen, it's the Fox universe. And I was like, it's not, because they didn't have fucking binary in their universe. They wouldn't have needed the X-Men if binary was there.
Just look at what they're wearing too. I mean, it's very obviously a very different.
One of them is CGI and the other one is practical effects. But yeah, so I think it's she is kind of like I wish there was more to that, and it's so heartbreaking when Carol first sees her, and Carol, all she wants to do is kind of see her, and the other one's like, no, don't look at me. Yeah. But it makes sense because Carol's looking for that human connection that she lost because she's a planet killer or destroyer. And so she's looking for that, and so when she doesn't see it in Monica, there was just so much that they could have dived into. Shit, we can get a whole another Disney Plus show on it if we want, but yeah, it was kind of a shame that Photon was a little bit underutilized because of the smaller runtime. But I mean, she was amazing in WandaVision, and so I would have hated for this movie to have gone on longer and then ruined her character, you know, if it had gone on longer. But yeah, it was she was awesome, really cool.
It makes sense that she's in the movie. It makes a lot of sense that Kamala Khan's in the movie. It makes sense that it's you know, that obviously it's Captain Marvel and stuff. So it's kind of crazy to me how all of that fit. I'm kind of impressed with it. I know like a lot of people have gripes with the movie and stuff, but I'm like, man, you successfully integrated two characters from a Disney Plus show. One of them was not even the main character of WandaVision. And it seemed pretty seamless. I know it may be because we have a podcast where we do watch every single thing, like and talk about it weekly, and we digest it fully. We like eat the whole meal, sit, and then take a shit. And some people are like,
just regurgitate that shit.
People may be taking little nibbles or eating it at the buffet or whatever, but it's kind of I thought it was pretty. Let's talk cameos. Look, we got to talk cameos. Hold on. Let me turn on YouTube and TikTok. Cameos in the Marvels. Tessa Thompson reprises the role as Valkyrie.
Looking fly as fuck.
Fly as fuck.
With the fucking 3-piece suit or some shit.
What is that bridge called again?
Fucking the Bifrost.
Just using it willy-nilly. You know, just she can transport a whole colony of skulls.
That Bifrost has never been more bisexual because she had everybody down. Yeah. Hey, she knocked out the women. She knocked out the men. She knocked out everybody.
This is what I told Sophia. Carol Danvers, the most chemistry, romantic chemistry, the whole movie.
Well,
Valkyrie, Carol Danvers.
I know.
I was in. I watched this movie and I buy it. But it's also like cool to see Valkyrie. She's definitely stepped in her role as like the leader, and the de facto leader of
the king of Asgard.
King of Asgard.
Yeah. She fucking mentors Captain Marvel, which I think is wild.
Yeah. She gives us some advice. She's like, hey, like, don't fuck up. Or something.
She's like, hey, suck it up.
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, be a woman.
Yeah. Well, and Valkyrie has kind of a sad backstory too, which is you know, interesting that she's kind of found her second life and was able to reinvent herself, which is cool.
Yeah, it's very similar. Like, you know, the wandering people type of things. Like, it's pretty cool to bring in Valkyrie from that. You know, since like, you know, the Skrulls
on space. Get down here to Earth. You know?
It's funny because Cap Marvel was like, "Oh man, I'm so sad because I'm in this place for like 5 years," and Valkyrie's like, "Bitch, I've been doing it for like centuries."
Okay, and then another one. Look, we talked a little bit about Young Avengers, but Haley Steinfeld is.
You talk about Mary Bishop. Oh, I was like, I thought you meant Maria Rambeau.
Oh yeah, Maria Rambeau, and also like kudos to Lashana Lynch because she also got to be in Doctor Strange, right? Wasn't she in Doctor Strange too?
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah,
that's part of the Illuminati.
She was in The Woman King.
Pretty awesome for her. She's in 3 movies. She's in 3 MCU movies.
She was in James Bond too.
So shout out to Lashana Lynch. But Haley Steinfeld, I mean, at this point, you know, Kamala Khan is Nick Furying it up. She's got a team. She's assembling a team together. Yeah. This is, I think, is more on solid ground than even all the Kang stuff, which is like obviously the writers left, the director's moving on. Like, you know, the Kang stuff is getting figured out in Loki.
The actors fucking it all up.
Also, the actors might maybe going to jail, but The Young Avengers thing, doesn't that seem like it is? There's no sure things in Marvel, but that is at least something that is one of the threads that we're going to be looking at, for the next 5 to 10 years or something.
Shit, I'm surprised they didn't show Stature. Newton, bring her in as the new Ant-Man.
She mentioned her, right? Didn't she? Ant-Man has a daughter?
Has a daughter, yeah. That was cool. It's nice to again, it's like what you just said. Like that seems a little bit more like that is the future of Marvel. Like if they don't pivot like really hard or something, like
pivot.
That was really nice, and it's a really funny callback to the original. It's a really funny like callback to the original Nick Fury scene from the first Iron Man movie. So that was really
bit
cool.
Meta, right? A little bit meta.
A lot meta, and then it's. I love that where she's like, "You think you're the only kid superhero," and then like Bishop is like, "I'm 23." It's pretty funny. And then you see the pizza dog too. The pizza dog does a
pizza dog,
no cameo. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then
What other cameos? I mean, we could talk Kelsey again if you want. Kelsey Grammer. Hell yeah.
I think
Beast is back, baby. I was gonna say this.
The Beast is back.
I've been watching the first, or I guess not the first season. I don't know what season this is. The reboot season of the new Frasier on Paramount Plus.
Ooh, hey baby, I hear the blues.
Yeah. And it's pretty good. That's all I'll say. But it's cool. I think it's funny. I think John, you brought it up that they chose the Grammer,
Kelsey Grammer over like
Grammer, and not the guy that was in 3 other Nicholas Hoult X-Men in a couple X-Men movies himself. But I get it. This is all this is a nostalgia play, and
they brought the guy back from the worst X-Men movie.
I know. Well, I told John, I said, man, this would have been a perfect way to capitalize and to plug their X-Men 97 stuff if they would have just got a homeboy from the X-Men 90s show to voice him. He's CGI anyway. And you could have mixed and matched a little bit, or have Kelsey Grammer be the voice in X-Men 97 or something, Yeah. Synergy.
I can't wait for that 97 show. I don't even know when it comes out, but I feel like we should have come out a while ago.
Magneto's the leader. No Charles Xavier.
So I think
I was gonna say, doesn't Kelsey Grammer also have a cameo in like a Deadpool movie or something? Like that's
Nick Hoult, I think.
Okay.
No, I think Nicholas Hoult is. This is gonna get really confusing. I'm sure that Deadpool movie is gonna have a lot of fun with the way all this shit is fucked up.
In Days of Future Past, they show that Nick Hoult turns into
Kelsey Grammer.
So it's the same beast.
Yeah. He just gets a deeper voice and sounds like Frasier.
So this is like pretty much out there, like explicitly now. Like this is I think Multiverse of Madness kind of was the first step here, but they're in the X Mansion there at the very end. Like that's we're laughing because like if this is all this talk about like box office fucking failure or whatever the fuck, I think it's funny in a way that like Marvel's in a way like people will probably see it as like they're introducing the X-Men to try to save Marvel. In a way, yeah.
Trump card.
Oh yeah, I was like, huh? Kelsey Grammer? I think. I mean, it's very explicit. We got the X doors.
Yeah,
we're probably in some yeah.
And Dr. you've got it before too. Boom, in the She-Hulk where she says the X-Men to the camera. In Miss Marvel, shout out to Miss Marvel because every project that she's in seems to be associated with the X-Men somehow. But she does have a comic book series that's saying that she's a definitive
Iman Vellani is writing 4-issue
That's awesome. That's
Miss
cool.
Marvel comic. Like she's actually writing it, which is cool.
I just remember that, Drew, what you're alluding to is when they play the X-Men theme song when she says you didn't. It's like
that's pretty dumb. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What did I do? I did like the Incredibles song.
You did like
you did that's some blues.
You did Vehicle. That song Vehicle.
The X-Men theme song. Dun 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 dun. I think it's exciting no matter what, and I'm definitely here for all the X-Men Easter eggs. And like we're talking about Binary, that's brand new to live action.
Binary is a form of Captain Marvel. Yeah, it's
just like Photon. Photon was a Captain Marvel at one point, and there's a lot of Captain Marvels in this movie.
Poor Monica Rambeau, who is now even more confused and left behind when she woke up from her snap.
Exactly. Like
she's gonna end up having like this. She's gonna be like that traveling warrior Wolverine attitude of like, I don't even care.
You know,
Like,
this is
I don't
funny.
know who you are.
This is not like implied by the movie but it's kind of dark, and that's probably very unhealthy to see your mom that is not really your mom. Like,
Doesn't know who you are.
Dude,
yeah,
if
that's
I were binary, I
can't
would
be
have
good
swung
for
on
your
her
mental
ass.
health, like at all. That's kind of wild. Yeah, cool cameos though. I guess cool implications for the future. I really like what Drew said. I really hope it comes to fruition. You know, because like Drew said what Drew said earlier about like if you don't buy a ticket to watch these movies, they could just not do this in the future. You know, like I know everyone's kind of burning out on the whole Marvel, the whole superhero shebang. It's not so much Marvel, but I mean, if we just stick around a little bit more, we'll get like MCU X-Men, which at this point seems to be kind of weird. Like I thought we were getting new X-Men. I guess we're just getting the old ones, but X-Men nonetheless. You know.
Hey,
yeah,
it's all an amalgam of everything. They're just gonna grab everything that works and then sticks, and this is what we're gonna move with. But yeah, you need to buy a ticket to see all this stuff, baby. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. And superhero fatigue, I don't think is that much of a thing, because I think it's just people's expectation and quality. I think once people get over their expectation and give it a shot, and it's something of quality, then it'll work. Because Guardians 3 is out there and it fucking killed it. Peacemaker was out there and it killed it.
Quantumania did really well. Yeah.
Quantumania killed it in a different factor. No,
The Boys is like boom, that's superhero stuff. So it's like if it's a solid thing or a solid project with the right heart and thought behind it, the people will rally.
I will say this though, I knew that it was inevitable that they were bringing back on the X-Men thing. I will say it was inevitable back in the day when they talked about it, like how they bought Fox and stuff like that. It was exciting to know that the X-Men are coming to the MCU. Yeah, I'm a little shocked to that it's just the same X-Men from the previous franchise that are just coming back.
We sort of texted about it, and it's kind of funny. I feel like it's hilarious because if you were in an X-Men movie and they didn't pick you, that means they didn't like you or something, because it's not like they're recasting, it's not like you're like, well, the role now
that's what's funny.
Role just goes to the next person who takes the mantle. It's like, no, we didn't like your version.
Yeah, Jackman, come back.
Version instead. But I think it is I think it's definitely a branding decision that they're making. I think they are being overt with the Fox X-Men because that's what they're buying was the Fox X-Men, that version, not anything that came before. They're like, we bought the Fox X-Men. We did not buy the Fox Fantastic Four, but we bought the Fox X-Men, and so I get it. It does feel a little weird, but X-Men also kind of was still work even at the tail end of the Days in Future Past peak. The X-Men movies still perform pretty okay relative to what they are, because there is a recognizable brand to see Hugh Jackman, to see like all of these, I guess, characters, because sometimes they're played by different people. In the cinematic universe. And I'll say this about the box office performance, which you don't talk about all the time, but it happened, there was obviously a giant actor strike that happened. It's not just Marvel, the Flash had issues, Shazam, Blue Beetle, all of them kind of struggled. We're also in this weird period where there's a lot of MCU stuff. I mean, this movie came out sandwiched between the Loki finale, and a lot of other stuff. We're about to see more seasons of What If, and it's a part of their thing now to slow it down and have less. And I'm not that worried about the next two Marvel movies, because we're talking about a new Deadpool movie with Hugh Jackman, and then a Captain America sequel that has Harrison Ford. So I think those two will do okay. I don't know, but it's an interesting time, and I think it's just a good story to have right now to talk about the Marvels a little bit. And what's going on. BTS. Well, let's go around the horn for final thoughts on the Marvels in classic Countdown to Infinity Revenge of the Sequel style. John, what are your final thoughts on the Marvels?
As a sequel, it's no, just playing.
Judge it both as a sequel and as a Marvel.
That's all they are. There's that's all. Marvel movies are sequels.
We will never talk about Iron Man
The
on
first
Revenge of
Iron
the
Man. Yeah, I
Sequel.
know it's really sad. Yeah.
Everything else is fair game.
But we talk about it on Countdown to Infinity.
Yeah,
We'll never talk about it again. But
we
we
should
did like
talk
2
about Iron
episodes
Man.
of it.
That was a good movie. And in the book, the new the new MCU book, it's just crazy how that movie was like an indie film. And John Favreau is like he's following people around and writing their characters like how they act in real life, and they're changing stuff, messing around, which never happened. It's never going to happen anymore.
Well, I think it's funny though, because I think we've I've heard Jeff Bridges' take on that. He said like when they were shooting, he's like we got outlines, like we were improv.
Yeah.
Like me and Robert Downey were improvising the scene, because he's like we're making a $500 million. He was like it wasn't that much money, but he was like we're making a $500 million student film. He's like okay, let's do it, because you're just kind of like going with the flow,
seeing what works.
Yeah, I know. I think it's wild. I think we've spoken on this on the pod too before, that all of Marvel stuff that we're getting now just came out of a really lucky experiment back then. Like it was all just like it's baffling on how much of good luck that this franchise has had, and how much it's been successful because of it. Because as soon as if they would have gotten the Marvels is underperforming now, and I think like Ant-Man did at the beginning of the year. Had we have gotten these types of hiccups, box office hiccups back in the day, we wouldn't have gotten any of this other stuff. It would have been like it would have pivoted way earlier or stopped earlier or something. Anyway, wild. Marvel Studios is a wild story, in other words. But as for the Marvels, I thought it was a good sequel. I thought it was fun. It's like you can't not smile during the majority of the movie because everything is kind of in a very fun, like upbeat tone. Like it's it is kind of, it doesn't, I can't really see a whole lot of like, and that's probably because I didn't really, but I can't really see a whole lot of stuff that's super specific to the director. But I think she did bring like a cool like dynamic with everything. I'm sure like on set was really fun. Like it looked like it was a fun set with everybody who was like kind of working it.
Anytime the main three are together, it's pretty cool. Like it's great synergy between the three.
Between all three, yeah. And then it's got some really fun action sequences. It's got some of the coolest like editing in a Marvel movie, in my opinion. Like the way that's between the three. Whenever they first start doing that entanglement stuff, it's pretty cool. And yeah, some unexpected like hard emotional moments, which again are glossed over. Like you're kind of nibbling on them. You're not really you're not really lingering, but I still think they're effective. All the existential shit that's in this movie is kind of wild. But yeah, it's a good flick, and I love the people are cringing at the middle section where they're kind of the middle eight, if you will. In that part where it's a musical planet, and I thought that was probably one of the more fun parts of the movie because it's like very whimsical, and everyone seems to be having like fun on screen. I don't know how you don't like that stuff. But yeah, overall,
isn't that straight from the comic books too? Her marrying that prince.
I think it is. I think it's a storyline somewhere. But I liked it. I love checking in on the. I wish we had more of all of these characters, especially like not especially, but like we've only gotten Danvers as like a supporting character since her last movie. I kind of like she's kind of becoming like the Hulk, where she just pops up in other people's projects. But I'm all for it. Like I want to see more Captain Marvel stuff. I want to see more Miss Marvel. I want to see more Photon, especially for this movie. I want a sequel now to this flick. With the same team up, because like it was really fun. So yeah, I enjoyed the Marvels.
Yeah, Drew.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this movie brings a lot of out of the box ideas, which strong girl power energy, which I think is awesome because we just got a movie like Barbie where it's like, damn, it's the same kind of thing. So it's really, really cool to see that being represented too. And I think it's something where if you haven't seen it and are talking shit, then you have no room to talk because you haven't seen it. So you're one of the people that takes, something that someone tells you as truth or fact or whatever, rather than trying it yourself, which is cool because I do like that the MCU kind of fell off a little bit, because I feel like we lost a lot of the toxic fandom, and the real ones are still sticking around and supporting it, and things like that. So I know that's just comics. Some people are just into them for a couple of years or whatever, and then they move on and they're like, oh, I'm not into it anymore, and that's fine. But the real ones will always kind of stick around and pay attention to these characters, which I think it's really, really fun to get these characters in the first place. So it is really, I think, what the MCU needed right now to kind of deprogram us from the bigger, larger, connected universe type of thing, but having this one-off adventure. But yeah, I really liked it, and I hope it does well on Disney Plus. That way, it'll pump its numbers. But yeah, really, really fun time with the Marvels.
Yeah, it's a really efficient movie. It's fun because it's fast, and it's not too bogged down with world building stuff, which is
higher, further, faster, baby.
This movie's higher, further, and it's faster. And honestly, like, optimally, if you consumed everything the way Marvel wanted you to, there's stuff in this for fans of WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel. Technically, there's some Secret Invasion stuff for all you freaks out there. And then, of course, if you're enjoying Frasier, there's something in there for you too. There's
for
a
you
something,
freaks,
something for you freaks
exactly.
out there too. So I don't know. I enjoyed watching the movie. I think it's fine when there's movies like this that aren't like total and complete A+ masterpieces, redefining, everything about Marvel or whatever, because that's hard to come by, and there's only maybe like 3 or 4 of those movies in the MCU anyways. And I think it's a solid movie to watch, and just because of the 3 main characters, and maybe even a little bit of a highlight on Iman Vellani, who in like maybe a non-SAG strike world would have been a giant discovery for a lot of people, if because I mean, like, there's so much charisma in her character. It should be like a Peter Parker level of, oh my gosh, they cast the right person in this role. It's pretty cool. And I hope people watch Miss Marvel too, because that show is really good. And the family that's in that show is in this movie, and maybe the best part of it. And there's some sequences that I think are very weird that worked for me, but I'm a freak. The Flerkens eating everyone so they can get off the ship is funny, and it's awesome. I know that some people may think that's weird. Same with the singing planet. I thought that was really funny too, but hey, I get it. We're getting kind of we're kind of stretching the outer realms of what happens in the MCU, I guess.
It's because you like tentacles. That's why you like that Flerken scene, right? Yeah.
I love tentacles. I love kittens. They're both together here, and we're not getting.
It's a roller coaster.
Like, hey, kitten, what that mouth do?
I was gonna say it kind of doesn't go as far as the other stuff I like with tentacles, but it gets pretty close.
It gets pretty. It's
like I wanted some Davy Jones tentacles in the mouth, out the nose, in the butt, out the ear.
Biggest threat to Earth in this, right? Because I guess someone's trying to steal their resources, but the biggest threat to Earth is actually 100 Flerken kittens that just landed on Ellis Island. Like, that's probably the biggest threat, more so than the Skrulls and anything else. Yeah, fucked up.
If this time we're gonna get a Disney Plus series like that, I Am Groot, of like these shorts of like these Flerkens out.
Yeah.
Are you Flerken kidding me? Like that?
But yeah, really fun movie to go watch. And again, I'm like pretty confident when this is easily accessible on Disney Plus and it does really well, then it'll be less so should they have done the movie, and more so like what should they have done to make sure more people watch it,
watched it. Yeah,
not so much like any fault of the film at all. But we've come to the end of this episode. Countdown to Infinity, Revenge of the Sequel, crossover event of
double whammy.
Yeah. Or what if we on your lefted right now and Brent joined the pod, or like just another person who's always on the
I'm surprised he didn't jump in during that Kelsey Grammer segment, because when you would have heard that,
I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Yeah, see, like that's basically the call. Like we can hear him like getting into his car.
They're calling again.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh, what is it? That good night, Seattle. What is it? Here, this will get you tied in. It's different. It's a
He's in
different.
Boston. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
he's in
It's a
Boston.
different. If it's a different song in the new movie.
People were all, in the new
show.
movie. People were all freaked out because they're like, it's not the same cast, and I was like, he didn't have the same cast in Cheers. The fuck? He has his own cast in Frasier.
Yeah, and it's really good. There's some people from the old cast I think that like pop up sometimes, but the first one's so heartfelt and yeah.
I heard like
Eddie. Eddie the dog is still alive.
Oh shit!
He's 87 years old in dog years now. All right, let's go around the horn. Give our plugs, John. What do you have to plug?
I'm going to plug. Normally, I would plug Countdown to Infinity, but we are on Countdown to Infinity.
Yeah,
I think
you're on it.
Depending on which,
you can still plug it because if you're listening to Revenge Sequel, why don't you,
Oh yeah,
over?
in that case, I'm going to switch over. Like, listen to Revenge of the Sequel fully. If you like this episode and you like non-Marvel sequels, we talk a lot of sequels on that show. So like it's
we talked DC last week, so it's not that different.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, never mind. Shit,
kidding,
bad. The timing is bad, but we do talk other things other than superhero stuff on that.
I'll
show.
ask you this, John. We talked spoiler alert for everyone. We talked the Flash last week. We talked Captain Marvel and the Marvels this week. Do you have superhero fatigue? Are you fatigued?
No, actually, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question for like a broad podcast, but like, I mean, I'm they got my money for this, so like,
I'm still watching them, aren't I?
Still watching, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, go check out Revenge of the Sequel. We're in the middle of recording this new season, and it's been a lot of fun so far. No duds, at least not that I can think of. I think maybe Drew has not enjoyed a movie or two, but
I didn't like all the Halloween ones we did.
Yeah, exactly.
Really,
so
yeah.
But I liked I'm digging it so far. So you should hop on this audio train with us. Thank you. Yeah.
Drew, what do you have to plug?
I have to plug Countdown to Infinity for you, those Revenge of the Sequel listeners.
That's right.
Because if you love the Marvels, then you're gonna love the Marvel podcast.
Yep.
And also, check out Frasier. Shit. I was kidding. The Countdown Strikes. Yeah, the Countdown Strikes Back for all your Star Wars needs. They're putting a lightsaber of Stellan Geos online tomorrow at Shop Disney. Only 5,000 made. I have to get one of these puppies or I'm going to be fucking depressed.
The new High Republic books are coming out and we only need to read 300 to be caught up.
To be honest, it's only this third phase and then it's over. So it might be a good time to go back because and then it's done and then we have a complete list.
Until the TV show.
Exactly. It all comes to a head in The Acolyte. But also check out the Dirt Sheet Radio if you love professional wrestling.
Thanks so much for listening to Revenge Sequel, Countdown to Infinity. We'll be back next week in your own respective places. We will have solved this convergence or entanglement because we just talked Loki season finale on that pod, and we'll have some more on some of the news. We'll be talking Pedro Pascal. You know it, you freaks.
I forgot.
And Revenge of the Sequel. We're going to talk about another sequel.
Yeah,
we're kind of near holiday time, so.
We're getting into Christmas sequels again.
The Santa Clauses, here we go.
I was about to say, I was like, I don't know which ones we got left, so we're gonna find maybe just all the Santa Claus movies.
Black Christmas 2.
Hey, or we can do another entanglement. Iron Man 3, Christmas sequel.
That is a
Countdown to Infinity.
We can do Medea's Second Christmas. I don't know what the second movie's called.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Bye.